I'd like to wish you a very warm welcome and good afternoon. On behalf of the debate organizers, which are Business Development Club and Faculty of Economics, I would like to thank you for your support by attending this event. The idea of organizing a debate at our university came from our students who had a chance to discuss on different economic issues during their lessons. Those discussions showed that our students are active, creative, educated, tolerant, and critical young people on which we should be proud of. In order to demonstrate those qualities as well as to introduce the debate as a new activity that could be implemented into the regular or alternative program at our university, we have organized this public debate. During the preparations, we had a great support from the members of the Center for Culture of the Dialogue, which is a non-governmental organization that exists more than 15 years in our country. They have organized workshops and trainings, which results you will see today. Now we will watch a short film about this organization to introduce ourselves with their vision, mission, and activities in which we can participate in the future. Special thanks to our guests from Sarajevo School of Science and Technology. So now I would like to invite the Director of Center for Culture of Dialogue, Ms. Sanja Vlaisavljević, to deliver her speech.
It will be really a short introducing speech, even you see a lot of papers in front of me, but debaters have always a lot of papers, as you can see. Okay, dear ladies and gentlemen, dear students, my name is Sanja Vlaisavljević. It's my pleasure to be with you today and to have great opportunity to listen, I believe, great debate. Congratulations, dear students. Dear debate coaches, Tijana and Anja. Tijana unfortunately is not with us today, but Ardanela is here, and congratulations Ardanela. And of course, dear judges, for preparing this event. I'm happy I am not judged today, because I'm sure it will be a great debate round, and that's why it's not easy to be a judge today. Globalization and European Union membership is not important only for Bosnian citizens, but for all Europe and world. That's why this public debate is very important for all of us. Center of Cultivating Dialogue is an NGO, as you can see in the material we prepared for you, which promotes critical thinking and institution of public debate in all spheres in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Your university gave us a chance to establish a debate club here, and we are very, very grateful for trust. And only what can I do at the moment is to promise you a lot of great debate rounds here, and of course at the other universities in Bosnia and Herzegovina. Also, I want to believe that our cooperation will be continued at the beginning of the new school year. And at the end of this introducing speech, I wish you a lot of exams passed and to have a nice summer holiday. Thanks.
Now, before the beginning of the debate, allow me to say a few words about style of debate and its rules. The debate is organized according to the British Parliament style, which means that we have 4 teams with 2 persons in each. 2 teams represent 2 governments, and they are giving arguments for the motion, while 2 other teams are members of opposition, which is arguing against the motion. Every member has a right to talk 5 minutes, out of which first and last minute are protected. That means that during first and last minute, I cannot ask questions. Which teams has the best arguments will be evaluated by the judges. Our judges today are Professor Dr. Meliha Handžić, Senior Teaching Assistant Edin Smajić, Representative of Center for Culture of the Dialogue, Ms. Anja Gengo, and our shadow judge, Ms. Adana Ledijalović. After the debate, the judges will leave the room to decide which team is the winner and which student is the best debater. During the time of their decision, the audience will be able to ask questions. After introducing the rules, it is time to start. Our today's motion is: Croatia's EU membership will have a positive effect on Bosnia and Herzegovina. If teams are ready, I would like to invite Prime Minister to have a speech.
Good afternoon, dear Chairperson, members of the jury, members of the opposition government. I'm Amine Kadir. I'm third-year Management Department student. And this House believes that Croatia's entry into the European Union has really positive effects on Bosnia. And we believe and we support 3 arguments on this issue. But before I start my speech, I would like to start with a quote from Cesar Pavez. He says, "Every luxury must be paid for, and everything starting from being in this world is a luxury." Bosnia got its independence in 1995, and after that 18 years has passed. After it got its independence means a luxury. You have to pay something for you got. So when it got independence, it has to be a good country, it has to have a good economy, it has to have a good politics. But what we see now, in these 18 years, what we see now, we see that politics we have problems, in economy we have problems, and Bosnia hasn't developed so much after the wartime, after the 1995. So we see that Croatia's entry into the European Union as an opportunity to Bosnia to change some things in politics, in economics, also in other fields. So, because we are presenting you 3 arguments related to the first economy, second politics, and third social. And by these 3 arguments, we think that Croatia's entry to the European Union would have positive effect on Bosnia and Herzegovina. Let's look at them closer. First one, economically, it would be good. We are saying that Bosnia would be, when Croatia enters the European Union, Bosnia won't be able to export its products to Croatia anymore. So that means Bosnia is losing 60% of its export profit. That means a lot for Bosnia. That means no jobs for people in the firms, no jobs for the other fields, or I don't know, some farms of the cow or some milk products or animal products, and no profit from the export. So is that the thing that we want? Of course not. When we see when Croatia enters the European Union, Bosnia won't be able to export to Croatia anymore. But we can make this bad side to a good side. How? By doing this. Why European Union doesn't allow Bosnia to export to Croatia when Croatia enters the European Union? Because Bosnian products, Bosnian animal products, doesn't satisfy the requirements of the European Union standards. Why not to require those standards? Why Bosnia shouldn't have good products that require all the requirements of the European Union, and go to the Croatian market and then go to the European Union market? We know that Bosnia has good cheese, better cheese than Croatia, better milk than Croatia. Why not to export it to the Croatia and then expand it to the European Union? If we are recognized in Croatia, I think we can also be recognized in the European Union also. So just a second. So why did I mention this? Is also there is one point that in the world report of the competitiveness, Bosnia is 102nd out of 137 countries. This shows that Bosnia is very low in competitiveness. If Bosnia enters and satisfies all those standards of the animal foods and then enters to the Croatian market and the European Union market, maybe producers and the investors of the animal products, they will be more competitive because they are competing in the European Union market. So it will increase the competitiveness of the Bosnia. Yes, please?
Well, you mentioned that we will acquire higher standards after the entrance of Croatia into the European Union. But do you know how much time that will take? And do you know that now we don't have any certified body in Bosnia and Herzegovina with certificates are recognized by the Croatian market or European Union?
You mean which products? I didn't understand.
All products.
No, the European Union doesn't want Bosnian products that are made by animal products. They are okay with the other products like vegetables or fruits. They are okay if the size of those products satisfy the European Union requirements. I'm just talking about the animal products. I'm not talking about all the products. You just don't have certification on the animal products, and that's the best thing in the European Union. So. Second one was politically and third one is socially. My friend, second member of she will explain more on political and socially sides of my argument. And just to sum up my the whole speech, the first thing that was good for the European for the Bosnian to Croatians entering the European Union is first one, as we said, better competitive economy, standardized food, and better life for the people. If better business people. So and of course, then the economy of the Bosnia will be better, I guess.
Now I would like to invite leader of opposition, Jasmina Ademov.
First of all, good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, members of the proposition and members of the opposition. Thank you, Ms. Moderator, and thanks to Professor Natasha, without who this debate wouldn't be happening. As a leader of this opposition, during my speech, I would like to have, as Anna had one argument, I will have one point of the rebutting Prime Minister's speech, how Croatian accession to EU has a positive effect on Bosnia, and the second part of the speech will be two arguments of the opposition side. Those arguments will also be about the economic point of the view regarding the trade between these two countries. And my teammate will present you two more arguments. Now, Amna said that we should don't have animal product certificate for the export to the European Union. That's true. And she said that we should improve our standards and have those certificates and all those things. But do you know how much money we need for that? And do you know that we have two entities with two different agricultural ministries and two different quality standards for those products within those entities? And still we are not in negotiations with Zagreb anymore. We are in negotiations with Brussels, which can make only things worse for us.
Do you know how much money do we need for those things?
I don't have a certain amount of the money here, but and I don't want to guess, but according to everything that I have read until now, there is a certain great amount of the money, not only money, but the time that we will need to implement all those things. As we said, only two things that we can export to European Union now is the fish and the raw leather material. So, that is like 0.2% out of the 60% that we export to the European Union right now. The most thing that will be affected is the Bosnian milk and dairy product producers, which is the rare sector in Bosnia which exports more than it imports, and that will be the most affected in the hardest hit in our market. Same conditions will be with the exporting from Bosnia to the third countries across the Europe. If we don't have those certificates, we cannot and we will not export our products to the third countries. As information, in 2012, Bosnian export to Croatia was 1.2 billion km, which is the almost half of all exported goods in the CEFTA area, which makes it most important market for Bosnia. An income loss that is estimated only for Sarajevo is 400 billion km, which is the half of the budget that we have right now. Now I'll move to my second argument, which is about the potato export prohibition. So, in order to export potatoes to European Union, Bosnia is required to implement a program of a special supervision of quarantine harmful organisms on potatoes for a period of 3 years. It means that if we implement all the certificates and everything on the time, we will be able to get the import permit from the European Union only for 3 years from now, earliest in 2016. Those are the 3 years of prohibited export for the most famous agriculture that we have in Bosnia.
Out of order.
Can I ask
Ladies and gentlemen, to conclude what I have shown you today regarding the economic reasons and why we cannot support this motion, I beg you to oppose. Thank you.
So now I would like to invite Deputy Prime Minister Burch.
Dear proposition and opposition, dear judges, professors, students, welcome to the debate and thank you for participating. As my colleague Prime Minister told us, I will base on second two arguments, which are politicals and social. In second argument, which are politicals, I will tell you that Bosnia and Herzegovina has a great opportunities to grow up in political ways. As we know, they are making most of our citizens are making policies. We are complaining all the time. We have 3 presidents, we have 2 entities, and district Burch for all the time. We are only complaining, and nobody is doing nothing. This is exactly time to take our chance and to wake up finally and to do stuff for our countries. We are sleeping for 18 years. For 18 years we are doing nothing, absolutely nothing. And for this time we could do many stuff which we couldn't. And Croatia took its chance and did it. We are not, it's our fault that we didn't do it before. Tanja Fajon, member of the EU Parliament, said it also that this is an excellent opportunity for Bosnia and Herzegovina. All that present hope and challenge. Yes, please.
Well, you mentioned that this is also a political opportunity for Bosnia and Herzegovina after the entry of Croatia into the European Union. Do you know how many open questions and problems are between Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina according to the borders?
Yes, thank you. I know there are many questions between Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Some of the most important is about borders. And question about borders actually is going, and what Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina is actually struggling to have free borders between Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina. Then what I want to say more about this question is actually that Bosnia and Herzegovina will be a border between EU and other Western Balkan countries, which are excellent opportunities for us because many investitions from outside will come to Bosnia and Herzegovina, for example from Croatia, because our standards are lower than in the Croatia, and this is an excellent opportunity for export and import, and between chance we should do it. And you said that milk is going to be affected. Yes, of course, but Croatia is limited by EU agreement that can produce only 1 million liters per year, and that's how Croatia used for a whole year. They could be able to produce for their citizens. That's an excellent opportunity for Bosnia and Herzegovina to make milk production better and to take our products to Croatia. Yes, please.
You told that their companies will move to Bosnia. Why would they move to Bosnia?
Thank you. Thank you. Crash also and Ducat, TDR are one French. They are one of the maybe the most important fabrics in the Croatia that they have, and they moved their companies now from Bosnia and Herzegovina, and they are planning to move later because exactly of the taxes and to have easy access to other Western Europe countries. No, thank you. And the third argument says Western Balkan won't be isolated. This is a problem of the society, actually, that many times we are complaining that we're isolated, nobody is looking for us. And if you are going to be on the border between EU and Bosnia and Herzegovina, it has a great opportunity to use this border, because our citizens, we are complaining that our citizens won't be able to move to Croatia easily. Actually, that's not true, because Croatia wants to have easy access to Bosnia and Herzegovina, and in 2008 we were supposed to give passports for our citizens, but Bosnia and Herzegovina made problem with that. Now, Bosnia and Herzegovina is that one country that we want to make these passports for our citizens. Citizens that live in the borders between 5 to 30 kilometers are going to have free access to other countries. Yes, please.
Don't you think that will generate discrimination between the citizens of Bosnia and Herzegovina?
That's not really about 5 minutes about arguments, and actually there is no damaging about Bosnian citizens at all, because we will have free access to Croatia, as same as they will have free access to Bosnia and Herzegovina. And as we said, the EU is the way the Bosnia and Herzegovina chosen before. And we are just speaking about that way, and nobody is doing nothing. If Croatia, after Croatia becoming part of the EU, this is excellent time for Bosnia and Herzegovina to take our chance to become EU, not to become only EU, to make our standards higher, because our citizens deserve exactly what the citizens of EU deserve: better quality, better standards of life. Thank you.
Now I would like to invite Deputy of the Leader of Opposition, Dina Hadi.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. And yes, as a moderator or chairman said, my name is Dina Hatibovic. I'm the deputy leader of opposition, and I'd like to say hello to all of you, to dear audience, my colleagues from the opposition and our colleagues from the proposition. As my colleague said, I will deliver the two more arguments, which are the issues of economic, social, and political matter. And those issues are unemployment rate, dual citizenship, and that will, of course, be our arguments to rebate our friends from the proposition. Well, first of all, what our colleague said is that it is our time to take a chance, because we have different constitutional units here. Well, I don't think it's time to take a chance. First of all, I will explain with the argument that we have about dual citizenship. We have 500,000 people which have dual citizenship with Croatian people. So it makes up 12% of total country. And all of those people will probably take a chance to leave Bosnia and use their dual citizenship, no thank you, and go to Croatia so that they could have better opportunities. I don't think it will make it will take any harmony. It will make any harmony in our country. Second, what she said is that by the accession of Croatia to the European Union, we will have other products from the European Union entering our country, and that will be better for us. It certainly won't be better for us, because those products that will pass into Bosnia, since we're not in European Union, will have to pay bigger tariffs on the borders. So it will be too much expensive for our market, and they won't be competitive at all. Then, yes, please.
Don't you think that's an advantage for dual citizenship for the members of, for the citizens of Bosnia and Herzegovina who have dual citizenship with the Croatia?
I don't think why is it better if we are going to have at the end of the day we're going to have a brain drain? Is it what we actually have? That is
you cannot answer on the question by the question.
I won't answer with the question. The fact is that with the dual citizenship we will have at the end of the day a brain drain. that is not what we want. Because our young people will leave Bosnia and they will go for the better opportunities in Croatia. Who guarantees you better opportunities? But what we think is that European Union as a union is something that that gives us an opportunity. What one man said is that European Union is like a huge bubble, and it's not a question it's not a question will the bubble blow. The question is when will the bubble blow? Because the European Union is actually the European Union accepted Croatia to be their member. So just to make a picture of European Union like that everything's right. They're making enlargement to make a better picture of European Union.
Do you have any data that present how 500,000 people moved from one country and left their homes for another?
No, I have data that there is 500,000 people with dual citizenship.
And who said that about the bubble? One man?
Yes,
Me
I mean,
or
Marx said that.
Who?
We are talking about facts, not opinions. So can you just give me a bubble? What do you mean by bubble? Do you know that when one country enters an European Union, it gets better standard of life and everything? So
we won't get European Union Croatia. Well, Croatia does not guarantee us anything. So it doesn't mean anything. Croatia has 600 registered companies within a country and 300 already registered in here. Why would they register more companies when they can use a Serbian territory or some others which are better competitors to produce, to open their companies? Well, as a sum up of my speech, I'd like to say that our motion is telling that entering Croatia into European Union won't bring that much good as how much harm it will bring to Bosnia. So definitely that's not what will help us. We have to fight for our own rights or our own way, not find a way to fight for our rights with the Croatian entrance.
Moving to the second government, I would like to invite the first member of second government, Kemal Kec.
Ladies and gentlemen, honorable members of the jury, respectful members of the opposition, my dear colleagues, my name is Kemal Kec and I'm the first member of the second government. I wish you a very good afternoon. This House believes that the entrance of Croatia into the European Union will bring positive things and positive effects for Bosnia and Herzegovina. In my speech, I will mention two important arguments that support this notion. First argument is related to economic benefits that this accession will bring, and the second argument are cross-border programs of European Union. First argument, let me elaborate a bit about it. Economic analyst from Sarajevo, professor from Sarajevo School of Economics, Professor Dr. Anto Domazet, said that Croatian accession to European Union will bring highly positive things to Bosnia and Herzegovina and to its economy. Why? He elaborated. Hear about that a bit. Entrance of Croatia into the European Union can be viewed as a project for Bosnia and Herzegovina. How come? Every project has three parts: short term, middle term, and long term. In short term, we will have to change some things, but this economic analyst, one of the best in Bosnia and Herzegovina, says that these implementations will be made in 1 year and a half maximum. After that, in medium term and long term, we will enjoy all the benefits that trade with Croatia, which means trade with the European Union, brings to us. Croatia will leave CEFTA agreement after they go to European Union. We all know that, we knew that a few years ago. And of course we prepared for that. Balkan is a very important marketplace for Croatia, and they will have to move some of their facilities to Bosnia and Herzegovina so that they can continue their production and export of their products into other countries. Yes, please.
You said that we are prepared for the Croatian accession to the European Union. Where to prove that we are?
I will come to that notion in a bit in my speech. As I said, they will move their production to Bosnia and Herzegovina. Why will they do that? Because Bosnia and Herzegovina has fixed exchange rates, which means zero volatility, less currency risk, and higher foreign direct investments to Bosnia and Herzegovina. That is the reason why they will come here and not in Serbia or Montenegro. Yes, please.
we know for almost 2 years that Croatia will access to the European Union. So what we have done regard to this?
That's a similar question, please. I will come to that notion, as I said earlier. Just wait a moment. What we have come. Mr. Vjekoslav Velan, the chairman of the Council of Ministers, said regarding the trade with Croatia that we have already started to form bilateral agreements with Croatia. And he is very optimistic, and within the next 2 years we will start trade with Croatia just like we are trading now, and it will be much better because we will be trading with the European Union. Yes, what?
Do you know how much time we spent on the regulations and the entrance of NATO? It was forecasted that we need 1 year for that, and actually we took much more years than 1 year.
Okay, we are speaking about European Union here today, and that's about NATO, so I really don't see the connection. Okay, thank you. I will come to my second argument now, and my second argument are cross-border programs of the European Union. These programs are part of regional and cohesion politics of European Union to support countries that are on the border with European Union. We will be that country starting from the 1st July 2013. These programs, the European Union has invested $19 billion in these programs in the last 3 years. What are these programs? These programs are intent to develop entrepreneurship, to develop new technologies, to develop tourism, to protect cultural heritage, and to protect education and develop it. Not in the EU, but in the countries that are on the border with the EU. Thank you. Enough of the motions. Croatia already started these things, started to implement these things with projects on Una River with tourists, with increasing the tourism. As my conclusion, I will tell you something about change, because every argument we have stated here bears this one thing, and that is change. The opposition focuses on the things how change is a huge problem, change is a huge obstacle, a huge mountain, but I'm very sure that we cannot cross. But I will just quote a co-founder of the London School of Economics and Irish playwriter, Mr. George Bernard Shaw. People who say it cannot be done should not interrupt those who are doing it. Please leave all those arguments that do not take stand behind and start this change, because progress is impossible without change. Again, Professor Bernard Shaw. Progress is impossible without change. And thanks to the Croatian entrance to the European Union, we are changing, or should I say, we are making progress. Thank you. I will finish. A short comment from Chinese people. They say that a good neighbor is a priceless treasure. Thank you very much.
Now I would like to invite the leader of the second opposition, Mohamed Moulahmed.
Honorable judges, respected professors, and dear colleagues, good afternoon. My name is Mohamed Moulahmed, and I'm the leader of the second opposition. In my part of presentation, I will elaborate the 3 main negative effects on Bosnia and Herzegovina after the membership of Croatia into the European Union. Briefly, I will just list the arguments. The first one is that we are going to lose a major partner in CEFTA and getting into a higher deficit, and we will provide some statistical data for that. The second one is the property right issues between Bosnia and Herzegovina and Croatia. And the third one, I will just mention it, and my colleague will much more elaborate that argument after. And the third argument is the border issue between these 2 countries. These are the 3 main problems that will generate the most negative effects on Bosnia and Herzegovina. But before the elaboration of our arguments, I will just take a closer look to Kemal's arguments and debate some of them. Well, he mentioned that our Prime Minister, Vjekoslav Velan, mentioned that we are going to accomplish all these standards and all these rules and regulations for 1 year. I mean, we know how our politicians are acting. They are just trying to get much more votes. And a good example of that are the previous projects, like I just mentioned NATO. They said that we are going to be a part of NATO in 1.5 years, and actually it took much more. Actually, we are not against the changes. Some changes, just a second, you will get your time. Some changes are very positive for Bosnia and Herzegovina, but also they can bring a negative effect. And here we are just talking about the temporary negative effects that will affect Bosnia and Herzegovina after the Croatian membership. Yes, please.
Me.
No, her.
You mentioned mentioned that we know how our politicians are acting. Those are only assumptions.
Those are not assumptions, those are proven facts from the
I
past.
respect that you are a leader of your group, but
Please finish.
But your personal
Okay, thanks.
opinion is not.
Now I will start with the elaboration of my first argument, which is losing a major partner in CEFTA. With the accession of Croatia to the European Union, this country will automatically leave the CEFTA zone, which regulates the current trade between Croatia and Bosnia. Thus, the benefits between Bosnia and Herzegovina in the context of between Bosnia, Herzegovina and Croatia in the context of foreign trade exchange with Croatia will cease, and that means that Bosnia and Herzegovina is losing a major partner. The Croatian market will be a part of the internal EU market, which directly requires changing the regime in Bosnia and Herzegovina with the foreign trade relations with Croatia. So far, a little has been done in Bosnia and Herzegovina in the anticipation of this situation, and this will put the entire economy, particularly trade, in an extremely inferior position with respect to Croatia and EU market because of the restrictions brought by new standards, and will represent an obstacle for trade, especially for the companies who are exporting to Croatia. Yes, please.
Are you saying that Mr. Bevanda is lying, maybe, because those are kind of assumptions, and this leading economic analysis said...
We will see in 1 year what will happen. Thank you very much.
We will see in 1 year, that's right. That cannot be your argument.
Well, the argument here is that we don't have any certified body in Bosnia and Herzegovina which certificates are recognized in the Croatian market. We don't have any laboratories in Bosnia and Herzegovina that can overtake relevant research or some laboratory experiments on food and other ones. I will just give you some statistical data. That's enough from the points of view. Imports from Croatia to Bosnia stated in euros on 1.05 billion. At the same time, the export from Bosnia to Croatia stated in millions was 547.4 million. So the ratio between export and import is 52% for Croatia, or 2 to 1 for Croatia. Here we see how big our deficit is actually only with one country, and that's our major partner in trade. And after the accession of Croatia into the European Union, this deficit will get even higher because we won't be able to export there anymore. So this will just generate a higher deficit in our country, and the government will be forced to take new loans from IMF, which at the end are going to be paid from the money of our citizens. The second argument is that the negotiations on the regulation of property rights between Bosnia and Herzegovina. Still, we don't have an agreement about the property rights between our two countries, and Croatia side uses that absence of the agreement as justification for not returning considerable Bosnian property in Croatia and not implementing the Annex G of Bosnia and Herzegovina, which was signed in 2001 in Vienna and ratified by all the ex-Yugoslavian countries. So there is a huge possibility that that property in Croatia is going to be lost. So the third argument is the border issue that is going to be elaborated by my colleague, and let me just conclude what I have said. There are so many open problems between Bosnia and Herzegovina and Croatia, and 5 minutes is not enough just to name all of them. Because of the current situation in our country, because we are not prepared and our institutions don't put so much effort to anticipate and harmonize the rules and regulations with the EU, BH will be faced with so many problems and a little time to solve them, which will generate a lot of negative effects that I have just mentioned and many, many others. So we are not against change. Thank you.
So now I would like to invite second member of second government to close the debate on behalf of second government, Semira Burch.
Honorable judges, dear colleagues, audience, my name is Semira Burch, and I'm pleased to be here today with you. So since the last member of the government cannot introduce any new arguments, I will try to sum up the debate, today's debate. I will just remind you what the opposition said about these arguments and why actually, if we still didn't convince you, what are the effects, positive effects of Croatia and Bosnia and Herzegovina. I hope that after this speech you will be convinced. So first of all, they were mentioning here today, like crossing the borders, then Croatia that is going out from CEFTA. Then also they were mentioning why would the Croatian companies come to Bosnia and Herzegovina. So let me first elaborate that. After entrance of Croatia into the European Union, they are actually going to the European market, so they are going out from CEFTA. But that doesn't mean that they are closing their borders completely for the Bosnian Herzegovinian export. So according to that, thank you very much. Just a second after finishing this. So
Also, that doesn't improving the standards. So, according to European standards, Croatia will have to raise their standard in order to enter the European Union. But that doesn't have to be a negative effect. That doesn't have to have negative effect on Bosnia and Herzegovina. Since rising those standards, they will raise their salaries also to the Croatian labor force. So they will need cheap labor force, which will come from Bosnia and Herzegovina to the European to the Croatia. Yes, please.
Well, you mentioned that they are going to get a higher standard. Why should they move? Why should they move their companies?
I understood your question. Later on, I will come to that. So I was mentioning about the cheap labor force. Also, the two members of the opposition, they were mentioning why would companies come to Bosnia and Herzegovina. First of all, we have a fixed exchange rate. Also, the volatility will be low. So according to that, for them is more beneficial to come to Bosnia and Herzegovina and to produce than to stay in the Croatia. Also, crossing the border for the Bosnia and Herzegovina, that doesn't mean for all industries. It's only, as my first member of my team mentioned, for the food industry and the meat, milk and meat. Also, if they go out from the CEFTA, that will improve the domestic production for those countries who are staying in CEFTA. Apart from that, we are creating the place and space for Bosnian economy to improve, and if they go out from CEFTA. Our opposition here, they were basing their arguments on the assumptions, not statistical data. They were saying like they were saying like, we will see in 1 year. What 1 year? We will see that just an assumption. That's not proven. Okay.
What is the cost of entry for the new companies that are coming to Bosnia?
What is the cost of entering
new companies to our market?
I didn't understand the question.
It is related to your question that the companies from the Croatia will come to Bosnia. What is the cost of entry?
Well, actually, they have more benefits than the cost. They will come here. Thank you very much. I heard already your question. So they are having more benefits here because again, their production their prices will increase. So when they are coming to Bosnia and Herzegovina, the demand for products will increase as well. Thank you very much. So I will conclude my today's speech with the sentence. Of course, there are lots of more reasons of positive effects of Croatia on Bosnia and Herzegovina. But I will close with the sentence that 1,000-mile journeys start with the first step. So all of us, we want Bosnia and Herzegovina to enter the European Union. And this is our first step toward it. Also, the knowledge spillovers will help in our way or path to the European Union. Thank you very much.
And now, pleasure to close the debate. We'll have second member of second opposition, Elvisa Burch.
And my speech consists of two parts. First part is related to the further exploration of the arguments already mentioned by my colleague Mohamed Lahmetovic, and the second part is related to the summing up and concluding the debate. So related to the border, this third argument related to the border issues, I want to mention the most important points. The first very important point is the agreement of the state border between Bosnia and Croatia is signed in 1999, and still it's not ratified by the Croatian parliament nor by the Bosnian parliament. So what that means? That means that the entire border between Croatia and Bosnia remains an open issue. And there is just 1 month left before Croatia joins to the European Union. Second very important point is the bridge to the Pelješac. There is dispute between those two countries relating to the construction of the bridge. The official standpoint of Bosnia and Herzegovina related to the bridge to the Pelješac is that it doesn't approve this construction, but it is this work started in 2006 and lasted until 2011 when it stopped because of the country's internal difficulties.
The third very important point is the port of Burch. The agreement is signed on the free transit between through the territory of Croatia to and from the port of Burch and through the territory of Bosnia and Herzegovina at Neum. This agreement is concluded in 1998 and it's not ratified by the Croatian parliament while it's ratified by the Bosnian parliament. Why Croatia delayed the ratification of this agreement? There are many reasons, political or either what. But in 2006, the Croatian parliament suggested to the Bosnia and Herzegovina the status of the most privileged nation for the port of Burch, even though the Bosnia and Herzegovina invested a lot of resources to the construction of the port of Burch. Yes, please.
Do you know how quickly Slovenia solved their issues with land and borders with Croatia after the Slovenia entered the EU? And I believe that Rich Pelješac is in the
Croatia
argument here
couldn't
that
enter to the European Union before it was not solved, the border issues. Yes?
You mentioned the bridge. Have you read the European Union Constitution? It says that if Croatia enters the European Union, that bridge will be funded by the European Union. So
it's not approved. It's not approved by the Bosnian government.
The Constitution it guarantees that.
Thank you. Thank you. So I'm going second part of my speech. I'm going just to sum up the debate. I want to mention later to the Kečo argument. He said that last saying that having a good neighbor. How European Union can be a good neighbor to the Bosnia and Herzegovina when the Stefano Bernini from the European Commission sent a letter to the Vjekoslav Velanda to put zero tariff on the imports from Croatia, what directly increases the deficit of Bosnia and Herzegovina. Yes.
Do you know that Vjekoslav Velanda refused that categorically, and it's stated on the official
The point is that is not something that will good neighbor want for you.
There are businessmen.
Thank you, please. Thank you, please. And what can we expect from this neighbor when once the Croatia enters into the European Union? The deficit for the Bosnia and Herzegovina will be even higher. Now it's about 2.5 billion. What we can expect once the Croatia becomes a member of the European Union? It's likely that Bosnia will lose a part of its territory because no, thank you. Because when the Croatia becomes a member of the European Union, the European Union will be in favor of the Croatia. So then for Bosnia and Herzegovina it remains to deal with all 28 countries of the European Union and not just with the Croatia. And also what it can related to the citizens and to the dual citizenship. Only the part of the BH population will have those privileges. So, and if they stay in Bosnia and Herzegovina, that can be a reason for increased tensions between those people that are living in our country. So, the being a neighbor with the European Union makes us just geographically closer to the European Union, but in every other way we are far away from the European Union. Thank you.
Now, when we finished our debates, our judges will go out for a couple of minutes to make a decision about winners of debate. Now, dear audience, you have right to ask our debaters questions.
Is it just questions or comments?
Questions, comments, you are welcome anyway. Then please add microphone.
I think it's... I think it's a shame, and this is toward the professors and all the people who organized this. It's a shame we didn't have the opportunity to include other students from different departments, specifically engineering departments, since we have many willing people who would enjoy debating this.
Now it's your time, James, to ask something and to give a
Well,
comment.
yeah, I would not ask, and I would not like to be made guilty of, being biased toward any side. So I will not ask anything, but I just wanted to make this remark. Thank you.
We went to wrong part.
We have a comment from the opposition team.
Someone had to take the first step. We from economics and faculty management department took it so we can include.
In the
At the
future.
beginning of the new school year.
We already had debate.
Yeah.
That is it.
You're not the first
If
one.
I can, because in the name of the organizers, I mean the management department is, as you see, we have 8 members. If there were any possibility to have some kind of competition, mixed teams, many teams, we would do it. Because I have to really say that the people from in the elective course of European, they were really great. Janice was one who participated also. There is always somebody that feels excluded. So I'm sorry that it is this way, but in the future there will be possibilities. This is one of the first steps. We hope that in the future we will have more debates, that we will have more initiatives from the students to organize something similar. Thank you for your comment.
Can I give comments?
Yes, of
Yes,
course.
please.
Okay, so first of all, I would like to state.
Green light should be
On.
It's not user friendly.
Okay, so first of all, this team, so the affirmation team or proposition in this case, they were talking about reforms which are needed, so the first member. Basically, that's an argument for the second team, because we all know that reforms in our country take a lot of time. The other team, unfortunately, didn't emphasize that enough to make the point they did in the later part. They made an analogy between NATO accession and EU accession. There was also some random talk about dual citizenship, whether that is discrimination or not. I think that's not even relevant to this discussion, because if someone has dual citizenship, whether he goes to... Yeah.
I just have one question for you. Since Bosnia is constituted from 3 constitutive nations, we have Bosniaks, Serbs, and Croatians. If one of them gets the dual passport, isn't that discrimination for the other 2 Because we have the same rights according to the statute of Bosnia.
Can I ask another question? Country question. No, it's an answer, but no question. Before that, we had visa regime, so we needed visas. And I, for example, had 1-year visas all the time. Is that discrimination against other people?
No, everyone in Bosnia could have a visa. I mean, Bosnia.
No, you couldn't. You could get a limited visa, for example, you needed visa, I don't know, for 10 days, you get visa for 10 days. But is it discrimination that I, for example, had unlimited visa?
But you are not representing yourself as a constituted nation. But
it doesn't matter whether it's a constituted people, is it a minority, is it a group of some people, whether it's the wealthy, it's the poor. It doesn't matter in this case. There are some rules to people that have dual citizenship. If they are citizens of Croatia, why shouldn't they be able to have European Union citizenship? Yeah.
Since Serbia is also going to be a part of the European Union much more faster than Bosnia. Okay. So Serbs and Croatians will have the dual passport. What about the Bosnians? They have to wait for their country to enter the European Union, and these 2 other nations, constituted nations of Bosnia, is going to get the dual passport, actually the passport from the European Union much more earlier. And we are all living in the same room, actually. Discriminatory.
That problem is more likely based on our constitution, because we have also perhaps a bigger issue with minorities inside Bosnia. So if someone has dual citizenship, it's his additional right. So just because you don't have that right, it doesn't mean that you're discriminated against. But in the case of minorities, the Sejdic-Finci case, we had much more discrimination. Okay, I'll just like to. It's an open debate, so I'll just like to finish my comments. Okay, so another thing someone mentioned, I think it was this team, cheap labor force. The difference between the cost of labor here in Croatia and similar countries is very similar. The difference is in the taxes. What that team didn't say is that companies this team stated that companies might not choose Bosnia, so they will not come from Croatia to Bosnia, but the fact is they already have. So this team should have said that they already chose to come, that they are already coming, so it's not something that will happen, it's already happening. We had something about our politicians, Bema and so on. I will try not to mention that, but I would like to mention something. No one mentioned the actual issues that Bosnia will have to face. The issue about borders is an open issue that can be solved in the future. Why? Because the European Union, their laws state that countries within the EU cannot have open issues with borders. So Croatia cannot have border issues with Slovenia, but with non-EU members they can have open issues. So as long as we are acceding to the EU, we can have issues with as many countries as we want to. So even if we join the EU, we have to solve that issues. Of course, that's something in the future. I also didn't like the closing argument of this team. They were talking about Pelješac, Ploče, some border issues. You gave new arguments, you didn't focus on the closing.
Yeah, I introduced those arguments.
Yeah, but they are
not part of those arguments, I believe.
Why? But no, the fact is those arguments are not...
Actually, just...
Yeah,
sorry, but we just had 5 minutes and...
I know, I would like to say it. Yeah, okay.
Can I just answer your question that you were mentioning for the labor force before you
okay.
So you were saying that those labor force cost cheap labor is actually they are similar. Maybe they are similar now, but when they enter into the European Union, the standards are requiring that the products will be more expensive. It's an economical issue, so that the products will be more expensive. The labor force will also be more expensive. So according to that, and if you compare Bosnia with Croatia, there will be cheap labor force in Bosnia.
You're correct, but what I wanted to say that the main obstacle would be more tariffs and taxes rather than the actual wages.
Yes, but it is more important that you have wages
yeah, but they can go,
job than
yeah, they can go to China and have 10 times the cheapest labor. Why not?
Can I add something?
Can I finish? Okay, you can say it.
The unemployment rate in Croatia now is 20.4%, and it's estimated after the accession of the European Union.
In total, this thing was slightly better with their own arguments. They stood their ground, but this team didn't have arguments. They did some counter arguments, but they didn't have any good arguments for their part. So that would be enough from me. So
for your detailed explanation, comments, and critics, and I hope you will participate a bit next year. It will be interesting, I think. Opposition has some comments for...
I just want to ask something. Our propositions, they didn't allow you during the debate. Well, you mentioned that Croatians are moving actually their companies here. I'm asking you now, is it easier to adopt your company to a higher standard or to run a new startup company in completely other country? And you know, from 196 countries, they made a research on that. Bosnia and Herzegovina takes, I'm not sure, it's between 150 and 160 place when it comes to the, how can I say it?
Starting the business.
Starting the business. Why should they move their company actually from the European Union to some third countries if they are going to get an open borders with the European Union?
For the same reason why Slovenia moved their geta here. Thank you.
They already had
For the same reason Perutinak Turizmu. For the same reason Frank, Croatian, is already in Grude. For the same reason Gavrilović will be in Čitluk, Kraš will be in Prijedor.
But those are just sister companies of this. Those are not the headquarters.
Can I add something?
I just want to add on this that actually Croatia has 1,600 companies out of their borders, and 300 of them are in Bosnia. And there are many, actually that Frank is one of the biggest companies. What do you want? Actually, we're complaining all the time, we don't have companies that...
We have fixed exchange rates,
yes.
Serbia doesn't have that.
And
but why are Turks investing much more in Serbia than in Croatia? Because of the political system.
Oh, we are going far away. We are going far away.
That's not far away.
it's not about EU.
But you mentioned also Croatia. Well, why should they invest here or somewhere else?
They chose, of course, Bosnia.
Because there are 20% Croatians.
Economic analysts, as I said, predict that they will invest here.
But do you know what happened in
How can you
1999
predict
after the
something like
succession
that?
of the preferential trade agreement? Huh?
Wait,
So this is also for the economic analysis. I'm
when they
just
say
showing
that
you
Serbia
something.
is much better investing
Professor
place
Božo
than
Matić.
Bosnia, so what's the indicator?
I think we should stop the discussion here.
Okay,
You
sorry.
had your 5 minutes each.
I don't know which thing to ask, but in general, don't you think that, and it should be maybe also the argument, it should be the argument of the proposition team also, that by Croatia entering European Union, it is a big chance for us to maybe fasten our process, because many things will be available to us, many documents. So the bureaucracy here in our country is a big problem. The administration, and that would be maybe more easy because we are speaking the same language. We have the documents will be available. They are already available in that accession process of Croatia. And now it will. That is also one of the arguments, because the main thing is that we are going slow because of our politics, but also because of lack of those and problems in bureaucracy, administration. Yes.
Members
I want to say that if government is willing to accept the European Union, no matter in which language the document is, in English, in Bosnian, they will do it.
That's true,
English
but things are
today
easier
is
now.
the official language everywhere.
Yeah, but we actually prepared that argument, but because of the
Raise
language,
hand.
My
we
bad.
couldn't say
It was
that.
my bad for not mentioning first. I have
Because the main thing would be when will we access the European Union? Will it be sooner or later? The Croatia entering? Yes.
Who says that we want to access the European Union at all?
Actually, I mentioned that actually Bosnians would have chosen that.
Please raise your hand then.
I don't raise and tell you.
And immediately start to speak.
I can't.
I think that with the stabilization and accession agreement, we stated that we are on that path of entry.
Do you know why we cannot take Croatia or some other countries as an example for anyone? Because we don't have the same political structure, we don't have the same state structure. We have 2 entities, we have 10 cantons, we have state level, we have, it's completely, 3 presidents. I mean, it's completely different than the Croatian, side. They had maybe some guidelines how to do that, but we need to construct our own guidelines how to access the European Union.
I agree with that, but actually we are talking here about the positive effects of Croatia. How will they help us to enter the European Union, or at least to come closer, one step closer to the entrance of the European Union? So I think there are lots of positive effects.
For this about entities, federation, the cantons, actually Switzerland is not in EU, but it's a country that is perfect. Actually, their standard of life, their citizens are so perfectly satisfied with their life, and they are working exactly good. It doesn't matter if they have many cantons, federations, and stuff like that.
Why they are not
And
the
they're
European Union?
because they had
Because they
actually
don't
because
want to be.
they chose a better way for the working themselves. We didn't argue here actually a debate about is Bosnia going to be on EU or not. Actually, we are on that way years and years, and just we're not doing anything.
So we want to improve something and go with one path to European Union, and we don't want to access the European Union at all.
Why not actually? Because the European standards chapter that actually they are giving opportunity to us is giving opportunities to make higher standards. And if we close all of the chapters, we don't have to take European Union citizens. That doesn't matter. But actually, just about putting standards higher and higher.
Sorry, can I just do a short reply, please? You mentioned that we have Federation of Bosnia and Herzegovina, Republic of Srpska. Do you know why the problem of property rights issues between Bosnia and Herzegovina wasn't solved in the previous time? Do you know that?
Yeah, because the Federation of Bosnia and Republic of Serbia can't make deal, never.
No, actually the agreement was reached on some occasions, and literally in the last minute, the politicians from the Republic of Srpska opposed that because they didn't find their interest and their arguments in that. And Croatia uses that for not returning the considerable real estates from, I will just name one company, Šipad. There is, how do we call it, Energo Invest. They have millions, literally millions of real estates, warehouses, and a lot of other things in Croatia. and they cannot use that. And those companies here in Bosnia now are facing bankruptcy. Do you know how financial injection would that be for them if they could sell that from Croatia? But unfortunately, there is a big threat after the entrance of Croatia into the European Union that we will lose that forever. I will just mention you since I didn't have time, you were asking me so much questions, the example of Croatia and Slovenia. How many problems Croatia was facing to enter the European Union because of Slovenia? Because they had some unresolved border issues and property rights according to the Ljubljanska banka and other things.
Okay. I want to say
Just be sure we have questions.
For Switzerland, problem wasn't cantons to make perfectly inside, actually work inside. Why? It's not just one bad excuse that we use all the time. And for everything that's happening in Bosnia and Herzegovina, we have to say, okay, we have Republika Srpska, they don't agree, and stuff like that. Just bad excuses that we use all the time, and it's really time to
That's not an excuse, that's a fact.
Actually, there's some problem that we are choosing the wrong people. Why we don't choose someone else who can give new opportunities?
Okay, thank you. We have a question from the audience, please. Microphone to back to the
question. You're saying about Šipak, but you're not stating the reason, so the fact why they cannot get that property. Just let me finish. That was the problem in the debate. I'm not saying this argument is not valid. It's a good one, probably. I'm not familiar with the case, but during the debate, you have to, if you state something, you have to back it up with a fact. So now you said Šipak will not be, or whatever company will not be able to get those millions. Why? So that's the main reason why you are saying that. If you say that they will not get something, it doesn't matter. They will or they will not. It's just hearsay. You say that she says whatever. You have to give the facts.
Just 5 minutes, you know.
Yeah, but the important thing is to state that fact.
I didn't mention that during the debate because I didn't have time to elaborate that. But the fact here is that why they are not getting that property. Because those companies were the companies of the former Yugoslavia. After the disintegration of the countries that were generated from the ex-Yugoslavia, those countries took that property for themselves. Actually, if the headquarters of some country are in Bosnia and their sisters or other companies are in the other countries, they cannot get that because the state of Croatia or Serbia and other states, they took that as their property, you know. And there's a big problem. There's an open question about that still. It's not so. You just remember the Ljubljanska banka. How many depositors from Bosnia and Herzegovina are in shortcut with money because of Ljubljanska banka? They lost $20,000. I don't know in which country they were depositing that.
Thank you. So, do we have more questions, comments? Okay, we have our guest from Sarajevo School of Science and Technology. Please give her a microphone.
Okay, so I would like to say that I'm glad that I'm here today with my colleagues who had left. So we are from the debate club, Sarajevo School of Science and Technology, and I will not attack any of your arguments. I will just say that your arguments and the whole debate should maybe be more structured and more relevant. However, all in all, you have done a great job, and I would like to take this moment now and invite all of you, all the participants of this debate, to join us on our debate, which is going to be next week on Thursday, so on 6th June at 1 p.m. The topic is the Bosnian identity should be the supreme identity in the age. This is not a public debate, it's only allowed for SSC students, however, you can make an exception for you if you want to come. And it will be students versus professors. So this will be an interesting debate. All of you are welcome to join us.
So thank you a lot for your invitation. We are really glad for inviting, and we hope that some of our students will attend that really interesting event. So should we continue with comments, questions?
Or judges.
Or just wait for judges? Okay, so in several minutes, we hope that our judges will... Okay, so maybe now we can actually give certificates to our debaters. We will have a winning team, but the fact is that all participants of the debate were very good. So I would like to ask the Dean of the Faculty of Economics, Professor Ali Göksu, to present the certificates to our debaters.
We are very grateful to the students that participated, so really it's not the point who won, and the certificates are for the participation in this first student debate. So in front of the Faculty of Economics, we would like to thank them with this. Elvisa Budbasic first. So just Dina. Tough decision to make if they are
So once more we want to congratulate our debaters and Professor Smaj. Okay.
First of all, it was a pleasure to be a judge of this debate because it was a very good debate, well-prepared debate, and I have to say that we learned a lot. Since I'm a debater for a couple of years, I have to talk about your debate technique. It is very impressive, the skills that you have. First of all, the rhetorical skills, presentation skills, then the fact how you go through analysis, how you rebut on points of your opponents, it's also quite impressive. But before we start with the exact analysis of your debate skills, and before we start talking about who actually won this debate, I would like to ask for Mr. Smaj to talk a bit more about the content of this debate, because I think it is very important since this is an issue that is in front of us in a month.
Okay, thank you very much. I'm really pleased to be in the board of the judges. However, I have to tell you we had an extremely difficult task. Although we were discussing, trying to help ourselves what decisions to find, we were going through the content of all of your contributions, which were rather really amazing, and some of the facts we have underlined. We also noticed that some of the facts were not double-checked for some reasons, but for the debating in the parliaments and elsewhere, it may pass if we have good elaboration. In some elaborations, we also missed some of the points. Overall, basically what we have heard today, certainly we will hear in many parliaments of the countries that are joining EU and also the neighboring countries who are going to be left out, like Bosnia and Herzegovina that is going to be. Overall, basically what the proponents were showing us a lot of good arguments why it will be good for Bosnia and Herzegovina that Croatia enters European Union, and they were elaborated in a way that the arguments were not far from the statistical facts. And I have stated we have some of the debaters basically brought some issues that are not in line what actually is the fact, but however the way they elaborated is somehow accepted. On the second note, the opponents also were very strong in arguing why it will not be always excellent for, or why it will not be good for Bosnia and Herzegovina once the Croatia enters and joins European Union with the full membership. And in portraying those arguments, often basically we have seen that some of the arguments stand, and some of them were not again really properly checked. What else we noticed basically is that the substantive amount of the arguments, or rather rebuttal, great many of you were not willing to really listen to the arguments of your opponents or of your proponents for some reasons, but at the same time it is an excellent opportunity for you to basically to say and to make your point. And this is something we generally notice, what basically that is something that is lacking in both teams. One other thing also that we will come and we will discuss is basically the way. So the main point is basically the lack of the responses to these specific questions. Some of you with the great presentation skills say, "Well, we will come to that in a minute," and you never came back. And this is something that we need to take care of. So this is what I have to say. Maybe I'll come back again. Just I want to congratulate all of you once again. Thank you.
For your brief explanation, does other judges have any comments?
Yes, I just want to add actually the debate looks like opportunities versus constraints. And in terms of opportunities, as you know, EU is created for economic reasons. And I couldn't see that clearly, very much, emphasize that EU wants to make competitive Europe. So, sort of economic opportunities that are part of that are very important, and being at the border is being closer to that bigger picture thing. And the other thing that was considered both as a constraint and as an opportunity is mobility, borders, cross borders. We heard that there are cross-border projects that help that mobility, but also unresolved issues of borders are sort of a constraint at the moment. So I would say yes, both groups presented the arguments, the opportunities, and as well as constraints. And I'm not quite sure what the points will go, but
nobody is still.
we still don't have that final count. But I would like to congratulate because I think you overall addressed these opportunities and constraints. Thank you.
And our shadow judge, any oral critics?
Okay, so Anya and I will separate the two groups, maybe take the opposition and then the proposition, and go per teams in analysis. So I'm going to start with the first government, and I'm going to just say about the whole team, not particular speakers. I think you had a great thought, you had great arguments, but you kind of failed to explain them and give a thorough analysis of the both arguments throughout the debate. So you left a lot of holes in your argumentational line. So the opposition could find a way to attack it, maybe didn't do it as much as they could, which is on your best. I think they had a lot of great questions that are just a way to prove that your argumentational line had a little bit of lags in it. So maybe when trying to prepare arguments for the debate, consider to find a lot of examples, a lot of statements, and a thorough analysis of the whole argumentational line that you state in your debate. Should I take the second opposition too? Okay. So the second opposition, well, you did a great job.
Second government or
second government, excuse me. Second government. You did a really great job on the argumentational line, and on the whole analysis. we had a really great and strong statements and arguments that were a little bit hard to review. Maybe you should have, well, on the first speaker, I have to say that I find it a bad thing that you didn't answer the questions that were asked in the points of information.
I failed.
Which
I
Professor
failed
also
to
stated.
mention it, yes.
Yeah, and that was just disrespectful to the opposition. And the second speaker also did a great job and found points that were attacked on the opposition. And yes, you also failed to answer the question in thorough in the points of information. So that, otherwise, great job on the whole team.
So this was regarding the government. Since Mela was very mean to you, can I say just a couple of compliments for all of you? First of all, when it comes about the first government, one of the hardest tasks for debater is to structure your speech. And that is something you need years to learn. And I have to say, especially when it comes about the KISA, you had a really decent structure. I just thought that you need more support for your arguments, and that will make your speech perfect. Also, when it comes about style, both of you, I think it was a great style. You were more than understandable. Your voice was quite interesting to the audience because you saw the reactions. They liked you when you were speaking, and you kept their attention on you. And also, what I would like to say, especially to Belkisa, there is something that we call in-your-face attitude, and I think you have it. And that's something you showed us during the time you were answering on the points of information. So I think that was really nice because it seemed to us that you are very sure in what are you talking and very positive about. My advice for both for your team, for both of you, is just to have additional support for your arguments. That's all. The same goes for the second government. I think you had a really nice structure, but more importantly, in a rhetoric sense, you were really great. And one of the most important things in debate is to be understandable, and after you finish your speech, that the judges and that the audience believes you. And I think that you managed to do that. So that means that you are on a good path to be a great debater. Also, when it comes about opposition, okay, this will be hard to explain. First of all, the first opposition. As I already told you during the practice and during our trainings, you have basically double task. The first task is to rebut on everything what they said, and then you have the second task, if you have time, to show us another perspective and another strategy that we can apply here on this motion. Some of you managed to do that, some of you not. For example, when it comes about the first speaker, which will be Yasmina, I think you were very good when it comes about rebuttaling, but then again, you didn't have enough material to rebut. And that's why that gave you much more time to explain your own arguments. And I think you did it really, really great, especially when it comes about the point on 400 billion marks, about half of the budget, which was a really great support to your argument about the standardization. Also, when it comes about the second speaker of your team, so Dina, I think, Dina, that you were very understandable and very funny to all of us. And that is also very important when it comes about British parliamentary debate, because it's a matter of style. So you were not boring to the audience. However, the fact that you didn't rebut the main points that were presented by the second speaker of the first government kind of influenced your entire speech and your role of the debater in a negative way. So, for example, if Belkisa mentioned the issue of milk, or for example, the issue of borders, your task was to trigger that and to show us, okay, that's just one example, that's not relevant, etc. And you didn't even mention that. You just continue with your strategy, showing us how the double citizenship and the fact and the employment will speak in favor of the motion that you are dealing here with. or against the motion that you're dealing here with. And also I think that the issue on the unemployment was kind of, well, not well explained to us. But then again, the issue of dual citizenship was a very good point. But then again, it was triggered by the government, and I just think that you should perhaps try to practice to, when it comes about answering to the questions, to answer it concretely, and then to explain it through your own argument. That would be very good because you have a really great argument. Other than that, when it comes about your own strategy, I think it was very good, and you had a lot of support, especially about the dual citizenship, about the 12% of the entire population, etc. So that's a good support. I just think that you need to do much more analysis to show us why is that relevant when it comes about the motion. Also, when it comes about the second opposition, so Mohammed and Alisa, congratulations to you too. I think you managed to fulfill your roles as the second opposition. So when it comes about Mohammed, the judges agree that you have good presentation skills, but more importantly, your logic is well developed. And that is the most important thing in debate. Also, your structure was very good. It was very clear for us, the issues you were, So I think that the issues you were discussing regarding the property rights and regarding the border issue was very clear, and it was supported by the concrete evidences, for example, the NSG that you were mentioning here, or also the when you were answering to Kemal's, I think, kind of information regarding the agreement between Mr. Benham and etc., the lying and all that. I think that was very good. So you are very good in answering the questions. I think your lack here was your attitude when you were answering the questions. You should be more sensitive. So that's my advice. Other than that, everything is very good. Okay. And to finish with Alisa, so the content you present us was very clear. The arguments were supported by the evidences. I think when it comes about summing up all the speeches, your speech was the clearest one. And when it comes about the support, your speech had the best support. And also the examples, for example, talking about region tensions, which is a huge problem, still is the issue on port of Ploče, etc. That was really good. And those are the current problems in Bosnia and Herzegovina that doesn't seem to have a resolution in a month when the Croatia is entering the European Union. What my advice to you is just to work on your presentation. For example, you can learn from Belkisas or Kemal's, or even the best example is Mohammed. Try to be in this way more aggressive, but not on Mohammed's way, but just to give us a picture. Just to give us a picture of yourself that you are positive about and sure about what are you talking. So if Nella has anything to add.
Yes, I would like to congratulate all of the debaters. You did a great job. I understand that you didn't have a lot of time to prepare. I think there was a lot of pressure on you because this is a public debate. All of your colleagues will come here and watch you, and especially if you didn't debate previously. And as Anja said, I think you did a great job in making statements, and maybe you should just take this debate and try to learn something new from this and implement it in every aspect of your life. In talking about presentational skills, you can do that with talking to people, with exams, with your school. So I think you can get a great lessons from this. Congratulations again.
Thank you for your comments and explanations. And finally, one of the judges will announce us their decisions about the best debater and the best team.
We need like 3 minutes. No, just to check.
Thank you for your patience. We have the results. So first I'm going to announce the best team. Our best team is second government. And the best speaker, the best debater, is the first speaker of second government, Kemal Kılıçdaroğlu.